Happy Friday the 13th. Today is June 13th, 2025, and it is Jason Voorhees' birthday. And to celebrate the series that really sparked my love for movies in general, I wanted to talk about the Friday the 13th films. So I'm not familiar really with how to do YouTube yet. So if this would work better in a tier list, let me know, and I will definitely make a tier list, especially after I rewatch all of these, because some of these I watch on a yearly or multiple times a year basis, and other ones I haven't seen in, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. The Friday the 13th franchise is not by any means my favorite slasher franchise, because that's Halloween, because, the first Halloween is a masterpiece, and then the rest of them are pretty good. But Friday the 13th definitely has a special place in my heart. Anyways, let's get to me talking about the movies. So like I said, this isn't any kind of ranking, so I'm going to start in order that they came out. So the first one we're going to be talking about is Friday the 13th Part 1. It's a classic. It's the one that is the reason why we know Jason Voorhees' birthday. We all know by now that the main killer is not Jason Voorhees. We all know that Jason Voorhees isn't even in this one until the very end, and that's just more than a dream. We follow Alice in this one, very likable protagonist, and I've heard a lot of people talk about how this movie is boring. I kind of like the mundane aspect of it, because I think it lends itself well to then the quick succession of murders. Because if it was throughout the whole thing in this one setting, I feel like the teenagers would find each other's bodies and stuff like that, but it happens in a quick enough succession that it doesn't really bother me. So I really like this movie. And lots of fun facts about it have been the reason why I wanted to get into film, and why I myself am now a filmmaker can be, tracked back to this. Sean S. Cunningham obviously directed it, and there's a Harry Manfredini score that is classic. It's, as some people would say, a quote-unquote banger. I just love this movie. But now we're going to get on to ones that I would rather watch over this one, even though this one is one of the ones I want to watch. Friday the 13th Part 2. Sackhead Jason, as everybody knows. This one does not... This one does follow directly after the first one. With we meet up with Alice as she is home now from the camp, and then we see as she brutally gets taken away from us with an ice pick. And then we go on to meet the new camp counselors from a camp that's right next to Camp Crystal Lake. A lot of people I also have heard don't like this one. People are really hard on this series, and I think that the people that are hard on this series either have watched it too much or don't appreciate it for what it is. Because this movie could be so much worse. If you've seen any other slasher franchise from the 80s, or even any other slasher that never got a sequel in the 80s, there's usually good reason why. This at least has, for the most part, good effects, good practical effects, good blood and stuff. And then we also have people like we have lovable characters, I forget his name, but I think it's Mark in the wheelchair in this one. And we have Ginny, and we have her boyfriend who looks like Fred Jones from Scooby-Doo. They're all likable characters. And then later, as we get down the franchise, the characters get more and more unlikable. But I feel like that's more of these movies reflecting when they were made, not really reflecting what they are, if that makes sense. Friday the 13th Part 3. It's in 3D. I can't stand watching this in 3D. I've watched it in 3D about twice, I think, and it, makes me want to get sick, because it's the old classic red and blue 3D. But as people know, this is the one where Jason Voorhees gets his hockey mask. This is where we start to get less likable, relatable characters. I don't know, people seem to like this final girl in this one. I, for one, am not the biggest fan of it. I do appreciate her for the most part, but her talking about what Jason did to her, one, messes with the timeline, and two, it's just not something you want to hear about Jason doing, considering that he's mentally not all there. you know? Overall, this is one of the more likable ones. This is probably my least favorite out of the first couple, though. Just because they really cheapened everything for the 3D effects, and I don't really like the characters that much. Next, we have Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. This one is my personal favorite in the franchise. We have Meet Tommy Jarvis, one of the best characters, most relatable characters. Someone I'm very fond of, and it's played by Corey Feldman in this one. This movie is back to having lovable, relatable characters. It has very quotable lines to me. I grew up watching this on repeat. This was probably the first Friday the 13th I ever saw. I was like 3 or 4 years old, and my parents rented it from Blockbuster Video, and we put it in on Halloween night, and we watched it, and it gave me such horrifying nightmares that it changed my life forever, and I would say for the better. I love slasher films. I'm a big film buff, but it all comes back to these cheap Friday the 13th movies, and it all comes back to Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I think this has one of the scariest Jason Voorheeses, not based off of just looks, but like he's taller in this one than he was in the last two, but he's kind of mean in this one, and he moves quickly. Like there's the whole thing that Jason lumbers and walks slowly, but then he teleports. No, Jason in this one moves like a man on a mission, and I love it. There are cheap moments, though. One that sticks out that my wife and friends always make fun of whenever we watch this movie together is when Jason Voorhees is in the basement, and the guy goes down there and goes, "He's killing me! He is down here and he's killing me!" Yeah, that's kind of a cheap part. But besides that, I really love this movie. And even the cheapness lends itself to my love and care for this franchise. Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. The one without Jason Voorhees in it. This is the only... Well, actually, no, it's not, because, I mean, if we're counting the dream sequence in the first Friday the 13th. Technically, Jason Voorhees is in this one. We have a different, less relatable Tommy Jarvis, which is okay, I guess, for what this movie is trying to be. This movie is very coked up on its whole plots and subplots. Tommy Jarvis goes to a foster home after everything happens, and it's for, like, kids that have all gone through trauma and are angsty and angry about it, and all of a sudden people start dying after one of the heavier set angry people gets killed. Everybody starts dying around town, and is it Tommy Jarvis? Is it not Tommy Jarvis? Is it Jason Voorhees? Who knows? Not me. I mean, the movie's been out forever, but if you haven't seen it, watch it. Honestly, this franchise is a great franchise, not to binge because it all gets really repetitive and boring, but it's a great franchise to watch through if you have, like, monthly movie nights or something like that, or bi-weekly movie nights. Like, put this on there and have, like, a movie in between, just so you can, like, appreciate it and think it's fun and silly and goofy, because that's how you're meant to watch these movies, is they're fun, silly, and goofy. Time wasters, almost. Yeah, most of them are under or around 90 minutes long, so, like, they're short movies. Enjoy them. Don't critique them. Don't watch them with the eyes. I know I have to turn off my brain when I do that, because I watch most things with the very, like, oh, since I'm a filmmaker, I know how to do that. Ooh, the blah, 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 you have to do that with this franchise. You have to turn that part of your brain off. This isn't Halloween. There isn't as much talent going into this, at least not anymore past this point. Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. I don't like this one. Everybody loves this movie. I think it's boring. I think it's bad. I like Tommy Jarvis in it. I like Ya Bang. But besides that, I just don't find this one interesting. The comedy doesn't land for me. Similar to, like, Halloween Part 5. That one's comedy. It tries to be more comedic. It just doesn't land for me. I kind of like it when the comedy is the cheesiness of the movies, not like when they're tongue-in-cheek about it, Tommy Jarvis is having nightmares and wants to kill Jason Voorhees, accidentally resurrects him, and now Jason Voorhees is killing a bunch of people, and, Tommy Jarvis has to take care of that. That's what this movie is about. None of these movies have very complicated plots. This one, is fine. Friday the 13th Part 7. This is the one I've watched the least because, similar to the last one, I don't really care that much for it. Yeah, Friday the 13th Part 7, New Blood, is the Jason versus Carrie, as people call it. Rest in peace to the actress who played the main character in this. She's very talented. She plays her role very well. I'm sad that she didn't get to do more movies, at least not any that I've seen. This is the first movie with Kane Hodder as Jason, and he plays Jason Voorhees better than anybody could ever dream to. He inspired me to want to try to be that kind of actor. I didn't want to be a stunt actor, but I wanted to be a monster actor. And hopefully I get that chance either in something I make or something I'm in with friends or something, because it would be so fun just seeing the hell that he goes through in this movie, getting lit on fire, getting pushed through stairs, all the above. Jason Voorhees goes through it, and I think it'd just be so fun to do that. It's been talked about to death about this movie that all the kills are cut down very heavily, so that way the MPAA didn't get mad at them, and I do think that's disappointing. But besides that, it's not really that bad of a movie. 6 through 8, 6 through 8 is where I just get lulled out with this series. There's not really much fun to it for me because, these films just, let's get to it when we get to 8. I'll talk about it then. Speaking of Jason Takes Manhattan, here's Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason on a boat. I remember before I even saw this movie, but I was really interested in actually watching all the Friday the 13th movies. There was a YouTuber, some Canadian guy, and I remember he was talking about the Friday the 13th movies, and he did an edit where it played the Lonely Island song, and he had a compilation of Jason wet on a boat. This movie's bad. This movie's the worst one in the whole franchise. There's nothing really worth watching because none of the kills are worth your while even. The comedic bit of Jason knocking off that one guy's head, the boxer's head, that's funny, but you could just watch a compilation of Jason Voorhees kills. This movie, Jason gets resurrected, he gets lightning, or not lightning, but electricity goes through an anchor and shocks him, and now he's alive again, and he's on a boat because somehow Crystal Lake connects to the ocean, and so he's going to Manhattan, and Manhattan does look, it's not Manhattan because they filmed most of it, I think, in Toronto, but I really like the 80s wet, grimy streets of New York aesthetic. And this movie is very wet and grimy. Not a big fan of the sewers that flush toxic waste. What can you do? These movies came out, 1 through 8 came out a year apart, each of them, or less. So the writing can't really be that faulted. I just wish that this franchise didn't lull out so hard. I wish it was more of a gradual decline instead of it just falling off, and it will never go back to the heights of the final chapter, in my opinion. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. This is the Jason Voorhees movie with some of the least amount of Jason in it. This has some of my favorite kills. This movie is bloody as hell, and don't care about the characters. All the characters just kind of suck. There is no Jason Voorhees, but there are some notable scenes that are very fun. This is obviously the slug Jason, and we get the whole lore behind Jason's a Deadite. If you have never seen the Evil Dead franchise, Deadites are possessed people, and apparently Pamela Voorhees used the Necronomicon, which is the Book of the Dead, to resurrect Jason, which kind of messes up with what the franchise has already established, that Jason was a human being from parts 1 through 4, and then became a zombie in 6. It messes with that lore. Apparently Jason Voorhees was a zombie from the start because Pamela Voorhees, used the Necronomicon to make Jason a Deadite, and It's similar to the Halloween franchise again, if I'm allowed to compare. I don't like when they really explain these characters because the lore is never worth it. I know people talk about the Art the Clown lore and how that adds so much to him, and like the Freddy Krueger lore adds so much to Freddy Krueger, but Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, even to an extent, Bubba Sawyer, even to an extent, Leatherface, you don't want to know everything about the character. You want like little you want like little tidbits, but like don't overcomplicate it. These are just slasher killers. Like they're less scary. I feel like the more you explain them, because at some point, if you over scare your audience, it becomes goofy. Like that's my opinion with like the Conjuring movies or like in their spinoffs, is that they're really scary until every 5 seconds it's a jump scare, and now you're just used to it, and it's kind of silly watching as these movies progress. Jason X, this is one of my brother's favorites. This is one of the best Kane Hodder performances. It also has the last Kane Hodder performance, which is a travesty. I doubt that he will return to Jason Voorhees anytime soon. He is very not of age anymore to play Jason Voorhees. But this one is a comedy, and it's pretty funny. It's very much Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek inspired, where Jason, goes to space, and we have like a fembot and stuff, and people really like this one. I get really happy watching the first 4 of these movies, and then we get to ones like these, and out of context of the franchise, do I think it's kind of all right? Do I think it's funny? Do I kind of like it? Yes. Watching it in order with all the rest of the franchise, I don't like this one. It doesn't feel like anything else. It just doesn't make me happy. But that's good. This was just kind of made, I'm pretty sure, as like a placeholder while they were trying to finalize the rights for the next movie. And I like the Jason design with a little bit of hair in this one. It's nice, and the Uber Jason design is also pretty cool. But it just, the ending is bad. I don't really care for the sci-fi stuff that much. It is what it is. Freddy vs. Jason. This was a childhood favorite of mine because my mom and my brother were Nightmare on Elm Street fans. My dad was a Friday the 13th fan, and I was a Halloween fan growing up. And so this was like the best of both worlds when it came to getting our slasher fixes. Plus, the humor lands here. It came out the year I was born. We have characters that we somewhat care about. Freddy Krueger is actually scary and not stupid like he is by the end of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Jason Voorhees is not my favorite in this. I wish Jason was a little less dumb and slow and lumbering. But besides that, it's pretty good. I like this one. I really do like this one. I watched this one probably on par with the amount of time like I watched this one. If I'm not going to watch the 4th one or the first one, I'm going to watch the 2nd one or this one, because sometimes you just need your Friday the 13th fix. And I think this, it's a shame that the Friday the 13th franchise didn't continue after this. Granted, the 2000s were a hard time for slashers and horror movies in general. And honestly, I think we should bring back more slashers, and especially with like our big heavy hitters like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, because they do something right in this one, and they do something right in the next one that just, they set up it to be good. They have good Jason. Jason's scary again. He's not goofy, lumbering zombie wearing a hockey mask anymore. He's like a cool killer, But they didn't end up doing anything with him, which is a shame to me. Lastly, to this point, we have Friday the 13th, the 12th one, 2009, Platinum Dunes, and Jerry Bruckheimer produced, Michael Bay produced. This one, I like Jason. This one, I like Jared Padalecki. Everything else in this one, awful. The color grading is terrible. The writing is horrendous. We have characters that kind of suck, except for the Asian guy and his black friend. The two minorities that are part of the friend group are fun. But everybody's pretty insufferable in this one, which is a good thing that this movie is only an hour and 37 minutes long, because if it was any longer, I'd want to pull my hair out. The kills aren't worth sitting through people sometimes. Some of the better characters get some of the more brutal deaths, which is something that's sad. I don't know. If you haven't seen this one, all these movies, if you haven't seen them, I think you should check them out. If you're like, oh, I don't watch horror movies, I get too scared, check them out. Also, while you're watching this video, that's kind of weird. But yeah, check it out. Watch it. Let me know what you think. That's my opinion on all these movies. So have you seen these movies? Do you like these movies? Let me know. I think we should have a discussion about it. Or you guys can have a discussion about it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of Friday the 13th. And I'm sorry that this isn't as polished as a lot of other YouTubers' content is. I don't do YouTube that often, but Friday the 13th was coming up, and I started doing some other stuff on my TikTok and my YouTube reels. And I thought that it inspired me. It inspired me to touch on, this event that is happening. Beyond that, though, this is the first video on this YouTube channel. I have another YouTube channel, Woodruff Films, which is my channel dedicated to my film work, or maybe even deeper analysis of films. While this is Watching with the Woodruffs, which I plan on watching or doing more stuff with my wife, where we discuss movies, talk about movies, watch dating shows she wants to do. This kind of wants to be like an not everything channel, but like basically this is our connection. I want this YouTube channel to be a little bit more freeform as compared to my more businessy YouTube channel, Woodruff Films. But if you haven't checked out any of my short films, go check it out. I have a feature film coming out sometime whenever the score and audio gets completed. It's been a process for 2 years working on it. Just please give us some love. Please come back when we post more stuff. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again. Hope you see me again, and hope you're excited to see what I do. And I hope you check out Woodruff Films and check out other content Watching What the Woodruffs have done. You can follow us on Instagram at Woodruff Watchlist. You can follow me on Instagram, Woody_78. You can follow me on TikTok around about the same. If you look up Woody78, I'll probably show up. Yeah, just follow me everywhere. Be my friend. I want you to be my friend. Be my friend. I have other film stuff coming up that will get posted about on my YouTube. And then I don't know what Sarah and I, my wife, are going to do for our first actual Watching with the Woodruffs video. But when we do it, it'll be amazing. It'll be fun. Please come back. Thank you for watching. Bye.